So Gale, how do you answer that? I mean, people do have a right to smoke. Is the only place people are going to be able to smoke in their own homes?
People can smoke walking down the street. People can smoke in their old homes, and they can hopefully cut down on the smoking. I want to agree with the commissioner in the sense that when bars and restaurants cut out smoking, there has been a decrease in smoking in the city of New York. He can give you the statistics. I really do think this is a health issue. I don't think it's what David has suggested. And the reason I say that is that if kids see their parents smoke, then they're going to smoke. We have to keep saying over and over again, this is not a place where we want smoking to take place. That's how I feel. Now, others may disagree, but that's how I feel. And I also want to say on the beaches, another one of our colleagues brought in some petitions from the Coney Island beachgoers stating that as a litter issue, not a health issue, but as a litter issue, the Parks Department finds that 75% of their litter on the beaches is cigarette butts. So there's also a challenge in terms of picking that up and the cost of doing that.
Well, hopefully thousands of New York, you'll be hearing from thousands of New Yorkers sending you petitions, small businesses, smokers, telling you that you're infringing on their personal freedom.
They did that before.
This is scary.
They did that before.
I know they've done it before, and you know what? You're not a rubber stamp for the mayor. You know what?
I'm
not accusing you. And when I say you, I mean your legislative body should not be a rubber stamp for the mayor.
David, do you believe that this is just an issue of Mayor Bloomberg's, and
Absolutely.
Because he's in the seat of power that he's just going to drive this through? He's been a tough opponent of smoking on all fronts. So is that what you think is happening here?
Absolutely. From day one, the minute he took office, he has been going after tobacco interests from day one. And you know what? It's got to stop. There reaches a point where people have personal freedom. This is a centuries old industry being ruined, being torn apart in this, not just the city, in the state. And these cigar establishments that I represent are Main Street USA. These when you go into small towns, they're beautiful establishments where adults go to talk about politics, shoot a game of pool, and have a cigar. And we have to distinguish. And we have to distinguish between a cigar smoker and cigarette smokers.
I'm very aware of that.
But I just want to clarify. So this, because you were trying to ask this earlier, how would this affect the business of the cigar?
Because it's just another example of a stranglehold. It's just a law after we saw the flavored tobacco law. Then, you know what? Everything was fine when Peter Vallone made separate smoking sections in restaurants. That's where it should have stopped, but we should have known it wasn't going to stop.
And you know what? The industry stayed quiet. Do you want to go back to the idea of smoking in restaurants?
I'll go to any idea you want, because all you do...
Because I don't think the vast majority of New Yorkers want to have smoking in restaurants again.
I understand. You're carrying out...
I think the smoke-free restaurants are very, very popular.
You're carrying out what the mayor wants you to carry out. And the health commissioner before you carried out what the mayor wants you to do. You know what? We have big problems in the city, and all we're worried about is smoking in parks. Can you imagine the problems that we have in this city today?
I happen to agree on that point. You know, I think that the city should be less concerned with correcting people's bad habits, and they should be more concerned with helping put New Yorkers back to work. We have 10% unemployment, we have rising crime, we have an education system that's starting to falter, in my opinion, and I think that we need to refocus our priorities on those issues rather than worry about what people are doing and what their personal habits are. Right. We're in a nanny state right now.
We need to elect people like Eric. We really, if anyone's watching, and I know a lot of people watch, we need people like this representing the city of New York to bring logic back.
I'm with logic, but we have other kinds.
But listen, I mean, this bill was introduced to the full city council before going through any subcommittees or smaller groups. Is this bill being rushed through the process?
This bill was introduced to the full council, as all bills are. They always go to the first step is the city council as an introduction, and then it is assigned to the health committee, and the health committee will have hearings. And the people who agree or disagree or who want to make changes to the bill will have the opportunity to do so.
So it's not being rubber stamped through because of the mayor's interest.
No, and let me tell you, I'm a West Sider. We do not, most of the time, agree with the mayor. So just to let you know, this was my idea. I had actually thought of this a while ago, and I feel very strongly about it, even before I knew the mayor was interested. I just want to be clear on that.
I know you've been trying to say another thing about the health implications.
Just a couple things. Well, first about the popularity of this. The mayor cited a poll yesterday that 65% of New Yorkers want their parks and beaches to be smoke-free.
Well, the mayor also said
these polls are so slanted, it's ridiculous.
85% of New Yorkers don't smoke.
Most people want you to stay out of their lives.
I gave you time. Let me get a chance to speak.
Let's let the health commissioner. Are those independent polls, though, or are they conducted by the mail?
Yes, this wasn't conducted by us. This is an independent poll. The other thing is that parks and beaches are not just any places in New York City. Parks and beaches are special resources, the special places set aside by the government, paid for by taxes, for people to go and enjoy in a healthy way. People shouldn't have to go to those places and then be exposed to a known cancer-causing toxin. This is a special place, and there's an obligation of the city to make those places safe.
No one in parks are complaining. You go to Central Park, there, no one is complaining
But
about
that's not true.
no one on,
People are,
no one in
I'm
the
getting-
Rockaway. Eric,
I'm getting
what are people saying in the Rockaway?
I am
mean,
getting
if this
emails
was-
on both sides of the issue,
But-
for and against. I'm not saying it's slanted one way
He
or the
represents
other.
the beach.
The
He's
ma-
got the
the
beach
ma-
in
And
his
so
district.
does his colleague
No,
represent
but-
Coney Island.
But he's sitting here.
I understand that, but the division is in the city council, maybe similar to the
He
population.
has the people on the beach. I think
So
he should
does Dominic Recchia, and he supports it, just
But
so you know.
here's the thing. I mean, and I find it irritating when you're walking down the sidewalk and smoke gets blown in your face, and you're separating sidewalks from public pedestrian plazas. How are you going to separate those two things? If a person's smoking on a sidewalk and then steps into
This
a
is my
pedestrian
opinion.
plaza,
I'll speak for myself.
what-
I believe that
why
this,
not sidewalks?
I would say that this, I'm not interested in doing sidewalks. Somebody else might be, as the speaker said today, somebody else. I'm only interested because you sit in a park, you sit on a beach, you participate sometimes talking to your children or your friends. That's when you smoke a cigarette and the smoke is ongoing. That's my feeling. I feel that you want to relax in a park, you want to relax in a beach. That's why I support that ban in those locations. I do
Right.
not support it outside the buildings, in the sidewalks.
How are we going to enforce it? How are you going to find someone smoking on a beach and then?
In other jurisdictions, it's been passed in Los Angeles, in Chicago. They
So
put
this is
signs
not
up, and for the most part,
unprecedented?
they find that it's self-enforcing. For the most part, smokers don't smoke there. If they do, there's usually someone else that reminds them not to smoke. And that's mainly the way it's going to be
I
here.
can tell you that in the Rockaways, for instance, the enforcement of open container laws and people who are drinking on the beach, my constituents are complaining that it's overzealous. I can't imagine parks enforcement police or police officers from the local precinct on ATVs racing down the beach, putting other lives in jeopardy in order to get to the man or woman that's sitting at the shore trying to smoke
It
a
is a
cigarette.
legitimate point. I mean, and it's a use of city resources.
Look,
That's it right there. In
and-
Eric's district, forget about it.
And-
They're doing. You got drug dealers on the beach. You've got gun dealers on the beach. I mean, yeah. Let's stop. Let's stop the smokers. Let's go and find somebody that's smoking. It's a ridiculous expenditure of resources.
Let me just talk about.
Let's spend our resources where they count.
I remember when in the
We need
movie
to reboot.
when the movie theaters, the same argument came up when we had no cell phones use in the movie theaters. The same comment was made. How are we going to enforce it? You don't have cops in the movie theaters. What you have is me telling Dr. Farley, excuse me, please do not use your cell phone. It's a citizen-to-citizen discussion. I'm sure that's the same way the cigarettes will happen.
We need less laws. I mean, you should go
Do
back.
you-
You shouldn't
But I
have
also
any
point
new,
out
any more.
Another example is the pooper scooper law. That is, people aren't being
Self-enforcing.
arrested for that. On the other hand, for the most part, people follow that.
I don't think
Yeah.
that you can equate dog waste with cigarettes. I know that
No,
there
but
are
we're
people
talking
in the-
about enforcement here, and the evidence point
By
is
the
that
way,
we can
there's
have
more
laws that are essentially
secondhand.
self-enforcing.
There's more secondhand smoke from dog waste than there is from people
All
smoking.
right,
You got to
You know
study
what?
on that.
For-
Yeah,
No,
as good as
my-
your studies.
For creativity, I'm going to give you the last word on that one because we are out of time. I'm sorry. I know we could go on about this, but as Gale said, there are going to be public hearings,
Yes.
and the discussion
We'll be there.
continues. I know you all will be.
We
Thanks
look
so
forward.
much
We look forward.
for your insights in this. And it is time for us to take a break, not a cigarette break. Still to come, what impact will the debate over charter schools play in November's elections? We'll ask Teachers Union President Michael Mulgrew. Stay with us.